Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Welcome back to another episode of the Chad Smith Podcast. My name is Chad Smith, and today is Tuesday, January 11th, 2022, and I'm joined, as always, by my little co-host from Fresno, California. Please welcome Conway.
What's up, y'all? Good morning.
What's up, Sonny? And today we also have another co-host with us. We've got Mr. Josh Casey.
I'm coming on. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, man. It's just a black screen.
It kicked me off, but I'm jumping right back on right now.
Okay, no problem. So while we wait for him, let me just remind everybody that we have merch now. If you go to chadsmithpodcast.com, you can check out Chad Smith Podcast merch and what's the other? Oh, Paranormal Chop Shop merch. We got some of that on there too. And we're gonna put more of that on there too. We just don't have a whole lot.
We need to make some more of that.
Don't have a whole lot of Paranormal Chop Shop.
I have a little lag issue right now. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm gonna jump off and jump right back on.
Yeah. Just jump off and come back in, dude.
Or you might have to kick me off. I'm not sure. It's not letting me.
All right. Oh, there you go. Yep.
Well.
So that was the show.
Start.
That was the Josh Casey
was...
TrippyTimes podcast. Hope everybody enjoyed your time.
He better hope he comes back or we're stealing his guest.
That's right. We got a great guest today. So
he does. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be so awesome. I hope this works for him right now.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, Josh is going to be running the show here today to premiere his new podcast. So what's up, Josh? We got you now. Got you on video.
How you doing this morning, buddy?
Good.
Great, man. I'm stoked to be doing this. Got Sev on with you guys and Preston Bennett coming up later.
Yeah, Preston's coming up later, man.
I forgot till right now.
Couple good interviews today, huh?
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm stoked. Thanks for helping me do this.
Yeah, no problem at all.
And a very special guest. I'm so happy I got her as my first guest because it's my actual MUFON investigator, Sev Tok. And she's got a really awesome story herself. And I think you guys are going to love it.
Yeah, man. You want to bring her up?
Yeah.
All right. Everybody here is Sev Tok.
Hello.
Hey, Sev. How's it going?
All right.
I'm so happy to be here with all of you. And congratulations, Josh, on your new show, TrippyTimes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. And thank you for being my first guest. I'm so humbled.
I'm honored. Really. Mm-hmm. We have a good story, Josh and I do. Should I get into it? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Can we introduce Sev real quick first?
Sure.
Just what you do, or can you tell everybody? Just a brief summary, I guess.
Yeah. I can run down her. I forgot to say her bio. Actually, I can do that, or if you want to do it, Sev. Let's see. Sev Tok, originally from Istanbul, is a speaker, author, spiritual counselor, and experiencer. Sev conducts soul sessions, providing guidance to activate one's potential, raise personal frequency, activate DNA, and consciously manifest our quantum reality. She has a MUFON experiencer resource team and is a MUFON field investigator for North Carolina. Sev recalls having alien abduction encounters since she was 10, but it wasn't until many years later, when she discovered a series of red dots in the shape of an X that appeared on her body, that she decided it was time to confess her lifelong ET contact encounters.
Thank you. That's it in a nutshell.
Yep, in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty amazing.
Yes, it's been quite a journey because I went from hating the ETs to now loving them. I went from fearing them to realizing that they were actually helping me. And that was a personal growth too, because I had to look internally to figure out why did I think these ETs were victimizing me. And when I realized that I was just adopting the victimization stance in every arena of my life, I quickly did the internal investigation, which is a long, slow process, but I quickly activated that energetic part of me to understand why I was so afraid of them. Because ET contact happens for a very, very good reason. And we're to learn from it and to spiritually awaken by it. But if we're in fear of it, then none of that happens. And so I wanted to make the most out of my contacts I've been having since I was 10 years old. And that's what my book is about fearing them to loving them. I talk about my experiences with the red X marks that were burned into my back on my tush. And I also talk about information that I was given when I was in Roswell, New Mexico, about the hybridization program. And I've also had my lab experiences, and I've come in communication with a variety of different beings. And on my path, I encountered MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, which is the largest organization in the world dealing with UFO ET research. And I decided to become a field investigator for them for the state of North Carolina, which is where I and Josh live. And then after a while, I was asked to join the Experiencer Resource Team, which is a smaller unit of MUFON. There's about 55 of us in the whole entire world. And what we do is we talk directly with people who've made ET contact. So this is beyond just a sighting or just some lights in the sky. These are actual people who have made contact and received information. And also people who have seen orbs and seen other beings and had other experiences that completely changed them. They've had epiphanies and spiritual awakenings. So it is through that group that I met Josh. And he contacted MUFON, he told him their story, and I was assigned his case. And that wasn't long ago. That was in September. And then we tuned in October, and look what's happened in just a couple of months. He went from being a complete naysayer to poo-pooing the whole thing to now being a champion for the whole team. It's really amazing how quickly you've processed and come along.
I do want to say real quick first, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but I contacted MUFON first I think around like last May or something, and it gave me somebody else.
Yes.
And I made a second report about some of the more, I guess, psychic phenomena, the synchronicities and the premonitions and stuff that started happening afterwards, and that's whenever I got assigned you. And I'm not sure if there was a reason behind that.
Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I saw that first report. The first report you made was where it went to field investigators because it dealt more with seeing lights and dealt more with like the logical aspects. And then, that was with John Pizzo, and we actually discussed that case because I told him that I'm now in contact with you. And then you did the right thing. And then you communicated with the ERT team, which does more with the metaphysical, interdimensional aspects of this kind of contact. It was good that you did that.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of synchronistic that you started off in fear about all this, because I was the same way. And I'm pretty sure you remember the first time I spoke to you, I was still kind of spazzing out about everything. It was a roller coaster. I was going back and forth between being excited and freaked out about it. But now I think it's pretty amazing. I will say the one thing I still not very comfortable with, the shadow figure I mentioned to you once, Sev, that's still I'm a little on the fence about that, just because of it being in the home and so close to me. But as far as the orbs and everything, it gives me a euphoria every time I see it, and it's completely changed my life. Really, I'm a totally different person than I was last year. And even the people who I know who have no idea what I'm going through right now, they can see like a noticeable change in me.
What are the
And
changes?
they talk just the way they say the way that I talk about things. They tell me I seem a lot more spiritual now. They're asking me if I'm planning on going back to school because they're saying like, why are you spending all your free time researching quantum physics and like history and theology, and you're not getting anything out of it except for your personal stuff. And so they're telling me, I need to go back to school for it. But it's just things like that, just I guess the way I think and the way that I talk. They tell me it's very noticeable, and I know there's a huge shift that's happened with me, and I thank you so much for everything you've helped me with.
My pleasure. It's a joy to watch this growth within you. It really is. For those of us who've been on this path for quite a while, it's just a delight to see someone new come along and just watch them have that. I don't like the word awakening, but I do like the word blossoming.
Hmm. I also thought it was pretty synchronistic. You do know Chris Bledsoe as well, right? So
Yes.
yeah, that's pretty synchronistic there.
Yeah, so Chris lives in North Carolina as well. I'm on the Inner Banks, and Chris is about 2 or 3 hours away from me. And we've talked many times, and we've actually seen the same beings. His son saw a being that was walking on 4 legs, and I've seen that being too. And that 4-legged being that kind of resembled a dog running is exactly what I saw. And then along with that dog type creature or being are these blue beings, and Chris saw them too. And from the information that I was given, these smaller, there was a smaller white being that looked like a light bulb because it was so white and it was glowing like a light bulb. And it came into the room with this 4-legged creature that looked like a white dog. And I was told that that is the immature stage of the blue being. And they go through these type of stages, and one of them is their ability to walk on 4 legs if they want to. They don't have to. And the blue transformation is the ultimate growth, is the more mature version of the small whiter ones.
Well, that's really fascinating because I don't think I've said this out loud, but Chris Bledsoe Jr. he did tell me that the smaller beings he encountered in the woods that night, that he was told later on that because they have almost like a glassy light skin type thing, but they're light, obviously made out of pure light. But he told me he found out from somebody later on, it might have been his dad, that that's kind of like a containment suit, I guess, type thing for them. Before they reach a certain age of maturity. I think he said like 700 years or something like that. And yeah, I don't hear Chris Bledsoe talk about it a lot, but yeah, whenever they heard that first experience in the woods with the 5 or 6 people, when they drove off in the truck, they did say that there was a 4-legged being like running after the truck, and I thought that sounded really freaky at first, to be honest. But with what you're saying, it's like things are starting to add up a little bit,
Very
It's
interesting.
it's
So we got
bizarre.
the same information. Yeah.
It's wild. So, Sev, do you mind talking a little bit about the My Lab thing? Because I didn't know that about you. I think that's really fascinating.
Yeah, this is something that I'm just newly coming out with because it was kind of like the last thing I had to deal with. And when I talk about it, like right now, my heart starts to beat a little fast because some of my experiences were positive and some weren't. And so my lab, or MILAB, stands for Military Laboratory Abductions. And many experiencers have memories. All of my memories are conscious memories of being with military type men and ETs in a variety of scenarios. So with mine, it was mixed. Sometimes I would see human government type men with hybrids, and they'd be giving me information. Sometimes I would be a patient, and there'd be a male doctor doing something to me. Other times I was asked to do something that was paranormal in nature. And this one particular time I did not want to do it because from all of the experiences that I've had, they want information from experiencers. They want to know what we've been told regarding the future, what we've been told regarding technology, what we've been taught regarding strengthening and expanding our paranormal abilities. And also, we're almost always given beautiful information and guidance dealing with spirituality. And this is all for us to realize that we're not here to be sheep and that we are being lied to. And the spiritual guidance that the ETs provide over and over again, they talk about how we're all one and how it's very important that we express our authentic selves and not let the government keep their big thumb down on our fingers, not allow the government to insist that we follow their guidelines as to what we should like, what we should do, and who we should be. And this is all information that makes the person stronger and less likely to follow orders blindly. And our government doesn't like that. And they know who the experiencers are, and they are pumping them for information. That's basically what my lab is. I was also in a room where I was asked to heal hybrid babies that were very, very, very sickly. And I was with a human doctor and a human nurse. So there are different types of hybridization programs going on from my experience. There's the hybridization programs just with the ETs, there's hybridization programs with ETs and humans, and there's a variety of hybridization programs. Seems to me from my experience, whenever the humans are involved, it's a sickly hybrid. When I was shown a hybrid, when the Greys showed me a hybrid, a baby in a tube, and I have a drawing of it in my book, that was not a sickly hybrid. So I'm just thinking out loud. I'm just throwing questions out there. Are humans getting involved and kind of messing it up and creating hybrids that aren't really viable? I was told in Roswell, when I had my experience, that this is specifically about the Gray hybridization program, that the Grays, what they did as a race was kind of just erase and eliminate their ability to be empathetic and sympathetic, and a race can't do like that. So what they're doing is splicing and dicing DNA and to create a being that is very intelligent, very loving, and psychically mature. And so there's billions, they told me they have billions of these embryos. And if it's not definite that this is going to happen, but if we annihilate ourselves, then these are the beings that are going to repopulate the earth. And they're very loving beings. They're not here to cause war, and they're not here to fight.
Wow, that's I actually recently I spoke about this yesterday on a podcast. There's an experiencer I have planning on coming on, I think probably at the end of this month or next month, and he's had experiences with the Greys, and he said he's not 100% sure, but he's had multiple dreams where, from what he's pieced together, the Greys are, he actually said, from a parallel reality originally, is what he was saying, and that they did something where I guess they became like a hive mind. They kind of made their brains like a computer, and that kind of eliminated their emotions. And that's just like you said, they're trying to get their emotions back by the hybridization thing. It's crazy hearing other people, because a lot of things people say, link up, and like Sonny said the other day, it's like a puzzle, things start to fit together. So I'm not saying I know for 100% that's true, but that's what this guy told me, and it adds right up with what you're saying, Seb.
Yeah. It is pretty interesting when people who don't even know each other are downloaded the same information, and it's really good to get that validation. There's millions of people involved in the hybridization program, and most of them don't even know it, because ET contact doesn't happen just in the 3D. It happens in this interdimensional fashion that feels like a dream. So a lot of times people think they're dreaming, or they convince themselves they're dreaming, because it happens in a state where we really don't have a word for it. It's not a dream. It's something else. It's an interdimensional experience, and they're real and they're legit. That's
Like
why
an
a lot of
astral
people
plane,
don't know that they're having contact, because they think it's a dream and it's not.
like an astral plane type dimension.
Sure. Traveling through frequencies and traveling through planes, yes.
Okay. Chad, Sonny, I don't know if you guys wanted to ask or anything, but I was really hoping to hear about how you got the red X's. And do you have pictures by any chance? I'm
Yes,
not sure if you I should have
send you
got that
pictures.
prepared ahead of time.
Pictures right here. Okay, so
Yeah, this is really interesting so far. I'm just kind of blown away right now. So I'm just taking it all in and letting Josh ask all the questions. It's pretty cool.
so I've
Doing
been
good,
having
Josh.
contact. Yes, very good. I've been having contact since I was 10, conscious contact, and I just hit it my whole entire life up until 2017, or actually 2018 when I came out with my book. But in 2017, I moved here to the inner banks of North Carolina. And the first or second night I was here, I made contact with a gray that burned a red X mark into my back. Here, can you see that X mark? Yeah, you can see there's the
Yes.
X mark, yeah. And on my left cheek of my tush. And I didn't know it. I didn't see it. I was in the kitchen unpacking boxes because we just moved. And as I was unpacking the boxes, it felt like something bit my butt and it hurt. So I yelled over to my then boyfriend, Patrick. I said, Patrick, I think something bit my butt. Will you look at it? He goes, sure. So I walk over to the couch and I bend over and he's not saying anything. And I'm like, well, did a bug bite me? And he goes, yeah, but there's a red X. And when he showed me that picture, I knew immediately it was the Greys because I'd been in contact with them before. And back then I thought they were bad and evil and I thought they were messing with me. And he was stunned. He's a very logical man, but he couldn't make sense of this. And I was stunned. And I said, okay, we're just going to forget about this. So we're going to pretend like this never happened, like we never saw this, because this is what I did for my whole life. Well, then 9 days later, I came to in my bedroom and I had this instant download of a memory where I was on this bed. It looked like a hospital type bed. And I was on my side. And there was hardly any any furniture in the room, and it was dimly lit. And I couldn't move my arms and I couldn't move my legs, and I felt paralyzed. I sensed something behind me, and I was able to move my head and my neck. And when I turned around, right here was a gray. And we made eye contact, and this is what it looked like. And these are all like wrinkles. And we stared into each other's eyes. It was right here. And I felt nothing coming out of the eyes. I describe it like it was looking into two pools of black oil. And all of my other experiences with the Greys, there was telepathic communication. But this time there was nothing. And that's what scared me. The fact that there was nothing, like it was just so neutral that like creeps us out. We're not used to neutral. And so I turned my head back around, and that's when I popped back into 3D reality in my room. And I was very afraid because if there was another X on me, I didn't think I was going to be able to take it. Like that was just going to be too much. And so I went downstairs, and it's interesting because he always got up before I did, but this time I got up before he did. And I went downstairs, and I'm very nervous, and I'm waiting for him to come look at my butt again. And he comes down. I tell him everything. And there was also one other piece of information. I knew when I was in that room that I was on the moon.
Wow.
And so with that, I bend over and he looks and he says nothing. And my heart starts to race. And I'm like, well, and he goes, there's another X, just like the first one, but this time it's on the right cheek and it's directly across it. So I had an X on my left cheek of my butt and an X on the right cheek of my butt, just exactly the same, right across from each other. So it showed me the picture, and there's really, I still can't find the words to describe what it felt like, because your rug of reality is pulled right out from underneath your feet. And I was like, what am I doing at night when I go to sleep? I'm talking to kids, and what are they doing to me? And this isn't nice. And what's happening? And who am I? And what's real? I didn't know anything anymore. And I just sat down and I started crying out of frustration. And then I just fixed myself up and I said, I need help. For the first time in my life, I need help. I can't do this by myself. And that's when I contacted MUFON, and I got in touch with Kathleen Martin, who has endorsed my book and become my friend. And that started my coming out. And then a few months later, I wrote the book, and I was a speaker at Alien Con. And that's when I realized there are lots of experiencers, and they're looking for someone to talk to. They just want to talk to someone who's not judgmental. And also they want to know, is this happening to other people? And yeah, it's happening to lots of people. And people are more comfortable coming out now, which is great.
Yeah, I'm very grateful that this happened to me at this time, I guess, because I can't imagine how people have felt for decades, being ridiculed so much about this. And, now I do see it's getting a lot more mainstream, a lot more accepted. Sev, I know, Sonny, Chad, Sev, y'all know this. When this first started happening to me, I seriously started questioning my sanity for a little while. And at first there was nobody seeing it with me, and it's like I would always see these orbs in the corner of my eye, or something, or I'd see something, and I'd just try to tell myself there has to be an explanation. But then other odd things started happening, like the bizarre layered synchronicities and the random details from my dreams that are coming true, things I can't deny. Like, Sev, I know you know this. I sent you the email with the girl's name that or the girl who told me the name of the song. I used the song in your promotion, actually. I'm glad you caught that.
Too. It's one of my favorite songs, actually. Yeah.
Really? Did you know that song beforehand?
Oh yeah, I've been listening to that song.
See, that's even more bizarre. Yeah. The song called Lazy Eye. Yeah, the girl made a joke in my dream. She was like, something about, why'd you say I'm so stoned I got lazy eyes, or something like that. It was just a weird comment. And then I see an orb the next morning, like one of the first big orb sightings. And I send you the email. I use the girl's name and everything. And the song Lazy Eye, what I've never heard before, is on the top of my YouTube feed as soon as I wake up the next morning. And I'm just shocked. And as soon as I play the song, I see the orb. But then even more bizarre, 3 weeks later, this same girl from this dream, and I use her name for some reason. I don't know why I use her first and last name. She contacts me because she had a near-death experience. 3 weeks later, after, and I'm like, Sev can back this up. It's that kind of freaked me out, to be honest. They had my fingers shaking. I'm just like, okay, what you're saying, Sev, like, what is going on? What's real? And it's I don't know, it's just bizarre. It's a ride. Chad, Sonny, you got anything you want to ask Sev? Sorry.
Yeah, Sev, I was going to ask you.
Yes.
Oh, no, go ahead, please. What were you going to say?
I was just wanting to say very quickly that with experiencers, it's very, very common for their psychic and paranormal abilities to really kick in. And it's really a wonderful time to strengthen them. Because it's important to plug into your paranormal abilities and use them, because they're very advantageous and help you with your life. And so with experiencers, they get more psychic and more psychic and more psychic, which is happening to you, Josh.
Me, it's still just so random, and I don't really have control over it. It's always just random, but it's definitely happened. I think we all have psychic abilities now. That's how I see it, really. I think, like you said, we got to tap into it. I was just remembered something about your story. Didn't you have early contact as a child with more human looking? I don't remember if it was Nordic or something, but human type ET. Can you talk about that?
Chad, did you want to ask a question before I go into
Oh, I'm
that?
sorry.
Oh, it was just it had to do with what Josh was talking about before, with how people are becoming more accepting of experiencers and their stories, and the experiencers are a lot more comfortable coming out with their story and their experiences that they've had. Do you see that that's like a progressive upswing right now, like with reports coming in? Are
Oh,
there
yes. Yes,
so
MUFON is getting a lot of reports, and I also help experiencers outside of MUFON, just on my own. You can go to my website, planetsev.com, and you can tell me your ET story, and I'll respond to you, and I'll help you, and that's all free.
oh, cool.
And I also share some stories on my website, too, of other experiencers and drawings and pictures that they shared with me. And it's really revved up. It's hard to even keep up with all the experiencers that have contacted me from all over the world.
Wow.
And there's some trends. So before, when we heard about ET contact, the really famous stories, Betty and Barney Hill and Travis and Calvin Parker, they're 3D stories. They were based, they're driving along, or they're fishing, or they're in the mountains, or Terry Lovelace's story. And it's a 3D reality. It's a 3D event. There is this transformation. Now there are more interdimensional, multidimensional, psychic.
Sev, real quick, I'm sorry. I don't know if that was dust fart or something, but I swear it looked like an orb or something just flew by your screen. Maybe
It could be a fly. There's a
okay,
fly.
maybe okay. I had to make sure.
Voice in this house, yeah.
Okay.
And,
sorry.
yeah. So that is the biggest trend, in that now people are starting to awaken. This has to do with the spiritual blossoming, and realizing that they're having contact not only with ETs but other beings too, whether they're angels or spirit guides, or there's an unlimited amount of beings that we're communicating with. So that is the shift from it being trying to find a logical explanation to it, to we're now in the realm of consciousness. What is consciousness? This is guided consciousness. We're having experiences through our consciousness, through this matrix of energy that we live in, that we can all connect together through.
Yeah. When I first started accepting all this, I remember at first because I was so hardcore skeptic at first.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's a nuts and bolts explanation. There's got to be science behind it all. Then it got to the point where I'm like, I see balls of light materialize from nothing in thin air. So real quick, I went to, there's more than, we can actually explain with just the nuts and bolts, as they say. I wanted to ask you, this is what I've come to, just like what you're saying, as far as paranormal and spirits and angels and even more negative entities like demonic beings and stuff. I look at things like Skinwalker Ranch and the Bledsoes, and it makes me feel like these more paranormal things might just be an interdimensional, or I think they say ultra terrestrial. Something that's it's still alien. It's not from here, no matter what it is, but it's all energy. Do you have that same belief that the more paranormal stuff is just like an extra dimensional type being?
Oh, yes. And there's an infinite amount of other dimensions and other planes, other frequency levels where there are consciousnesses in them. And they don't have bodies. They could just be floating consciousnesses. I mean, we can't even imagine all the different forms that these consciousnesses take. And once we start talking with ghosts, or once we start talking with ETs, then we're plugged in to the other levels, and we can start communicating with other beings too.
Yeah, and I believe consciousness is the thing that's going to connect everything. Just like you said, I believe the universe itself is consciousness, just like just one big conscious that we're a part of. We're all like fractals or pieces of that consciousness experiencing the universe.
Yes.
I see. This is what I was talking about me changing completely from a different person. A year ago, I didn't have any of these beliefs, and now I look at the world and everything in a totally different light. And I think it's incredible. I told yesterday on that one time I was abducted by aliens. They had me on, and I told him, I love that channel name. I told him I actually believe in a higher power now more than I ever did. Because they go on the subject of religion and, it possibly collapsing. And I think spirituality and science, they're starting to bridge together. That gap is starting to close between it all.
It's interesting, man, because I met you at the beginning of all this, so I haven't really known you before you've experienced all this stuff. So it's funny to hear you say how much you've changed, but I don't really have anything to compare that to because I've just always known Josh the experiencer. So it'd be kind of that would be cool to. I was going to say that would be cool to eventually have somebody on, like your cousin or somebody that's known you for your whole life, and have them come on and we'll do like a A/B comparison of what did Josh used to do versus what does he do now.
Yeah, I would find that very interesting. Your responses have changed, and how have your responses changed? I find that interesting.
Yeah. So, Sonny, I know I told you about a few nights ago. I had an experience where I saw a couple orbs, and I ran inside to get my cousin / roommate who had never had an experience. And he comes out all skeptical, like, "Oh man!" And I drag him out, and immediately he points up at. He doesn't see the two orbs. He's looking at what looks like this transparent type craft. I don't know. It had the cloak predator type effect, and I couldn't get the transparent thing on camera. It was too hard. It was hard to see with our own eyes. But I actually called Sonny up there. And he saw me and me and my cousin's reaction to that. And I believe Sonny, you actually saw the two orbs on camera, didn't you?
Yeah. He called me. He was running back in the house. And I was screaming at him, "Go back outside." He's like, "I'm trying." Then he gets out there and he's got his phone and he's going, "Can you see it?" And he's got it pointed towards him. So I'm looking at him and I'm going, "God damn it, Josh, turn the phone around." So he turns it around. I can see two lights. I can see the two lights. And then he's not even focused on those orbs, though. He was trying to find this craft that's going over the house. And I'm interested in the orbs and the craft, but since I seen those two lights, I'm telling him, just put the phone back on those orbs.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I thought he was running in the house because he was scared. He was trying to go from the front to the back, and I was telling him, "No, you go back outside." I'm real brave when it's not me. When it's not
me,
really,
when you're not there.
Yeah, when I'm sending Josh out there,
get your ass out there. That's funny.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. This transparent. When my cousin pointed at it first, he's pointing directly at it. He was like, "What the fuck is that?" And he didn't say anything about the orbs. And I look, and it's so odd. First, I saw the distorted surface, and you could only see it when it went underneath a cloud or a star or something, because you could see kind of like that funhouse mirror effect, I guess you would say. And it was a tiny pink light that flashed inside of it. And that's whenever I noticed it. And as soon as it flashed, it took off. It didn't go in a straight path. It went off it kind of bounced. It just took off like that zigzaggy kind of. And as soon as I did that, my cousin goes, "Holy shit, you see that? It moved like a snake." And my hairs on my arm stood up. I'm like, holy crap, because I'd never seen anything like that. I'm used to seeing orbs. I think I've seen over 30 now, including the ones I caught on camera at Chris's. And it did a couple weird maneuvers, came to a stop a couple times, but then it circled over my entire apartment. And that's whenever I was running inside trying to get to the front of my apartment and try to see it. But yeah, that was an experience. And I will say that was maybe 4 nights ago. My cousin is still just shook by it. I mean, he's asking me questions constantly. He was open-minded to it, but I think he still just was a little bit skeptical and just. I mean, he told me, he was like, "I didn't expect it to happen like that," and I was like, "Yeah, me either, man." But, it was incredible, really.
Wow. Are people afraid to come to your house? I would think that people who come to your house, if they're ready for a spiritual awakening, they're gonna get one.
I'm on my way in April.
Yeah, man, Chad, Sonny, I hope y'all. Yeah, and we get together with Sev and maybe all have an experience.
That'd be fun.
You guys are coming to North Carolina?
I'm planning on coming there at the end of April. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Go
I'm supposed
visit
to
the
be in
Bigfoot.
Vegas. I won't make it to that. I'm supposed to be in Vegas. I'm going to Vegas. Chad's going to
Yeah,
North
I won't make
Carolina.
it to Vegas, so I'm going to Josh's.
Okay, cool. I didn't know for sure if that was going to happen. We can go visit the Bledsoes maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a lot of time. That's the most time I've ever taken off work, so it's all planned up.
So North Carolina is in a vortex. There's a lot of activity here in North Carolina. We're in this ley line that comes out of the Bahamas and the Bimini, and it goes up through up the East Coast, Washington D.C., Baltimore, and there's also a ley line that goes to Asheville. And Bigfoot is seen here, even in my community. I've seen Bigfoot here in my community, and there
Oh,
is
really?
an association between UFO sightings and Bigfoot. What is Bigfoot? Is it real? Is it 3D? Is it an interdimensional being? Yeah.
That's what I think. I think it's some kind of, and I mean that. I gotta say, that was so hard for me to accept because it's like last year, this Pandora's box open. First, it's like, okay, UFOs are real, and then paranormal, and psychics, and then people were telling me like Bigfoot, and I'm like, oh my god, are you gonna tell me the Tooth Fairy is real next? I started opening it up to it and speaking to people. We had, I mean, Chad's had a lot of guys on here, Bigfoot experiencers. We had Brian from Pork and Beans podcast, and he was showing some incredible glyphs and stuff and videos with orbs. And he actually told us that he had one experience where he saw, Sonny, correct me if I'm wrong, it wasn't a Bigfoot that walked into the woods, and then he got pictures, he like back-to-back snapshots. But in one frame, there's nothing, and in the next frame, there's orbs everywhere. And he said that's right whenever the Bigfoot walked into the bushes. So, I don't know. I didn't realize Bigfoot was so much in the Native American culture as well. And, you know, I'm a quarter Blackfoot Native American, so I started looking back into it. And I really believe that Sasquatch is like a spiritual nature entity type thing, like an interdimensional being, like a nature guardian type spirit or something.
Yes, I think so too.
I think it's fascinating. There was a question I asked earlier. I think I can't. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Do you mind if we get back to your childhood experience with the human looking ET?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think I answered it.
I forgot about it.
It started when I was 10, and it happened so many times that I lost track, and it continued until I was around 12. And I would be outside, and this huge ship would come, and each time it came from a different direction, and it would just hover over me, and I could see underneath it. I couldn't see the sky; it was so big. And it would land, and these stairs would come down, and then this human-looking being would walk down to greet me. And he had dark hair, and he had dark clothes. I can't tell if it was one piece or two piece. I don't remember. And his ears were just ever so slightly a little bit more almond shaped. And he was checking up on me. And every time I knew he was coming, I was so happy. It was like my brother was coming. I don't have a brother in this lifetime. And I would look forward to his visit. Yay, he's back. And he was just making sure I was okay. I do not remember the details of our conversations other than I was so happy to see him. He was checking up on me, making sure I was okay. And I was always sad to see him go. And then this last time that I saw him was different. I was around 12. And this time I was with a group of other kids, and I had never been with a group of other kids before. And they seemed to be relatively my age. And I didn't look into any of their faces because we were like lined up like this. And we were just watching this spaceship go away. And we knew this was the last time. And we were sad. And I remember before I popped back into my bedroom to get ready for elementary school, I remember knowing, okay, it's time to do the work, got to do the work. So I pop into my bedroom, time to get ready for 5th grade. And that makes no sense to me. What work? What am I supposed to do? Whatever, just ignore it. And I would ignore it. I didn't tell anybody. And I could have told my parents because they were very open, but I didn't. And I don't know why I didn't, but I just kept that experience to myself for decades.
Wow. God, I can't imagine how it would feel to go through something like that and then have to go back to normal reality, you know, acting like like this is all there is, and everybody else is just oblivious to it.
Yes, I don't recommend that people do that. It's very important to be your authentic self, because it's through your authenticity that you're really going to live your best life and achieve the most, have the most success, be the healthiest, the happiest, and create a dynamic life, is through being your authentic self. And my expression of my authenticity is to express my ET experiences, but that's not on everyone's path. Although I do believe that just about everybody is having contact with some sort of otherworldly being. We can't help it. We just naturally do that because we exist more than this. We're existing in other realms right now as we're talking to each other. The other parts of you are having experiences with other beings right now. And our focus, our consciousness is right on this slice of our being right now that we're sharing together.
Wow. So do you think the concepts like guardian angels and stuff, that those are maybe extra dimensional beings or some type of ET that we all have assigned to us?
I don't know if we're assigned, but we definitely coexist in the 3D life with other 3D plus beings that we can communicate with and that can guide us and give us advice and support us. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's more along the lines of what I was meaning. I wanted to ask you about, because this is something I'm really new to, but I'm very open to it. And Barbara Jean Lindsay made me a complete believer. I told you about the past life regression she gave me, with me having a past life as some type of non-human being that was a sole survivor, the only survivor in a war, an ET war, I guess.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on reincarnation? And like I have this thought, I keep telling Chad that this life is like a training ground for a soul. I guess that's just the way I feel. But do you think that there's like a like I've heard Dolores Cannon say like soul contracts and stuff like that? I just want to know what your opinion on that.
I definitely believe in past lives, although I don't like to call them past. I call them alternate lives, because according to quantum physics, there's no past and there's no future, there's only now. So we are experiencing a variety of different consciousnesses at the same time, and we call them past lives. And I actually help people know what their past lives are. I'm a spiritual counselor, and I conduct soul sessions, soul purpose sessions, and support sessions. And in those sessions, a past life or two is almost always illuminated, which helps explain something that's going on now. So you radiate this energy as this being. I radiate this sort of energy as Sev. And in all my other lives that I'm currently having, all of those individual lives have their energies too. Now, there's some lives that I tend to align with, some other lives that I'm having at the same time. So I remember them. You can remember your past lives. You can remember the lives that you have some kind of energetic alignment with. Why do you have that energetic alignment? And that energetic alignment could manifest as good things for you in this life and bad things for you in this life. You could be carrying on mental traits, mind beliefs that don't support you, that might have come from another consciousness. That's the beauty of discovering what some of your past lives are, because they can really help you heal in this life. So I am a big believer, and I do help my clients with that.
Wow.
And I think it's very interesting that Barbara has aligned with a past life of yours that's the ET life, which is very energetically connected with your life right now. And that's why that was brought to your consciousness. It's to help you understand why you have this driving force. You have a driving force within you, Josh. And so do Sunny, and so do Chad, and so do I. Why are we talking about this? Why are we putting our faces in front of everyone else's faces? Talking about this weird stuff, because we can't help it. We just have to. There's just no other option. We just have to.
Yep.
Right. And I totally, I forgot, you actually know Barbara Jean Lindsay as well, and you've been on her podcast. Things are so synchronistic. But yeah, what blew me away is that at that time, I did a private reading with Barbara. I think it was before I actually got on her podcast. She had no idea about the fact that before I got in my car accident, literally the same day, I spoke to a recruiter, and I was supposed to I was joining the military. I was supposed to go to his office the next day, and I got in that car accident, so that put that to a stop. And my mother always told me, maybe I just wasn't supposed to join the military. And then, Barbara gives me this reading about me being a soldier in some ET war, and that I was the only survivor. It was really grim that I was under a pile of dead bodies, and that's the only reason that I survived. And that I hold a lot of survivors' guilt for that. And that's why in this lifetime, I'll go out of my way to try to help other people, even if I put myself in a hole. And Barbara's telling me this stuff and other things, and everything she's saying is just like spot on. It's blowing my mind, to be honest. But so that really is what got me believing in that. Made me a firm believer in that. You think deja vu is why what you were speaking about earlier about like simultaneously living these other lives?
Yeah, and also traveling through this timeline. Some of us can travel through the timeline, and we can have a consciousness about something that's going to happen next. And then when it happens, it's like, oh, I already had that consciousness. That's that deja vu. It's just traveling through timelines. We can all do it. And for instance, the X's that were put on my bum. I knew I was on the moon. How did I get to the moon? So that experience was a combination of an interdimensional experience, because I went through some kind of time portal, and also a 3D experience at the same time. And it really doesn't make sense. I don't know how it happened, but I don't have to know how it happens. I'm just here to share that this happens, and it happens to a lot of people who are then transported. You've heard the stories. They go through their ceiling, or they go through the wall, and then they end up in a spaceship, or they end up high in space, or they end up on another planet. Their actual bodies, they come back with markings. How is this done? I don't know. There's lots of theories, of course, but our human brains don't understand really what a molecule is, what an atom is, or really how we work. But it is believed that we're somehow energetically charged, so that our physical makeup is vibrating at a much higher level, so that we can go through denser level things like the walls and the ceiling.
Lynn LeBlanc, I can't say her last name.
Yeah, Lynn LeBlanc said she absolutely loves Sev Tok.
What was that? Oh, thank you, Lynn.
Lynn in the chat. Hey, we had another question. It was quite a while ago, but I wanted to get to it. Bobby says, I have always had good experiences with the Greys. Do you know what the tall, thin, insect-like beings are called?
Well, maybe they're the mantis, if they look like those praying mantis insects. And a lot of times they appear with the Greys. I have talked to experiencers who've experienced both of them at the same time. In fact, if you go on my website, planetsev.com, and look under True ET Stories, there was an experiencer that made a painting, and I have it, of him with the Greys and these mantis-like beings. If you want to look at that and see if that's the kind of being that you're talking about.
Cool. And I put her website down in the scrolling bar at the bottom, and I'll also have it in the description of the video too.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mantis or an insectoid. I think I've heard somebody else refer to them. Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of people say that the mantis are kind of like doctors, healer type beings.
I've heard that too. I have not personally come in contact with one.
Yeah. Me either. I had one question. So I think it's really bizarre. So like it seems like these beings, they exist outside of time, or like on a different, layer of reality where time is so much different, especially like so like the X's that you got on you, for example, when you were fully consciously awake, right? And then it's like they just suddenly appeared. So is that how it happened, or were you asleep whenever that happened? I just wanted to make sure about that.
The X's?
Yes, like whenever it actually happened, were you consciously
I'm
awake and
not
it's like,
really sure when it actually happened. I don't know if it happened while I was in a sleep state or it happened when I was in a wake state, because I have heard that there's a theory that you can pop in and out of this timeline. You can pop out, have an experience, pop back in, and it doesn't look like any time was lost, or maybe just a second or two were lost. And so I'm not 100% sure when those marks happened. I know the dates when they happen, but I don't know if they happened when I was in a sleep state or if I was in a wake state. Does that make sense?
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. And are those X's identical or near close to it?
Yeah. hmm And
Yeah,
I've
that,
also had people measure them, they're equidistant. Some people think it's a cross. To me, it looks more like an X than a cross, because a cross is 90-degree angles, and this X was not 90-degree angles.
why do you think they leave these markings on people? Is it something for the experiencer themselves? Maybe something to let them know that this is real? I don't know. That's something that's a little freaky, but I mean, I feel like there has to be some reason, because they can put implants in people without leaving a mark at all. So, and then you hear other people who have, these markings, these physical markings, and I can't wrap my head around it. I'm just trying to figure out, what's the reason for the markings.
hmm There's many types of markings. I've ignored markings my whole life. You've heard about little scoop marks. I remember one time
Yeah,
looking at my wrist and there
freaks
was
me
a
out.
scoop mark, and there's like it's like this little Barbie doll ice cream scoop, just of
Mm, mm,
skin just taken out, and there's no blood. And so I'm
mm,
looking at it, and I'm like, how did that
mm.
happen? When did that happen? How could I not feel that? Because a paper cut hurts like hell. I
Yeah,
didn't feel that, and it didn't bleed.
you'd think I would notice.
Yeah, yeah, it's bizarre.
Yeah. And then I would ignore it. I'm like, whatever, ignore it. Or there'd be like a triangle shape on me. And I'd be like, oh, look at that bug. It bit me in the shape of a triangle. Isn't that funny? And because I was so insistent on just pushing it back, pushing it back, pushing it back. There's also bruises. A lot of times, I'll tell you where a lot of the signs or a lot of the bruising and the signs occur are in, for women, especially in the thighs. There's scoop marks and a lot of bruises, geometric shapes. I've had all of those. And also around on the hands, around the wrist, around the ankles. Came in contact with a girl here where I live that has a triangle right here. This triangle was like
Oh,
stamped
what?
there, and she still has it. It's this little triangle. The triangle and geometric shapes are pretty popular. X is not
Yes.
so much. I have not come across anyone else who's had an X yet. So if anyone has had an X, I would love to hear from them.
Wow. Yeah, the triangles were on the smaller entities that Chris Bledsoe Jr. saw in the woods of the Cape River that night.
On their uniforms too, right? On their outfits.
The little containment suits, the light beings, the smaller ones that can go on four legs, like Steve was saying. I don't know if it was both of them, but I know that at least one of them, I think it was both of them, they had triangles on their chest. Chad, Sonny, do you guys have a question for Sev, or is there anybody in chat? Because I actually wrote down a few questions, and I have a couple questions from two of my family members that don't want to come out publicly and say anything, and
Oh,
a couple
really?
friends that I have here. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead with those, dude. Be interested to hear what they have to say.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, this is from a very close family member who I can't name.
Don't accidentally
First
do it
off,
now.
she said, "Hi Sev, thank you for helping blank. I can't say that. She almost revealed herself. Okay. Thank you for helping my family member. Um I'm very hopeful after what Josh has told me that these beings are benevolent. Are there more evil, sinister beings? And if they are, do you think that the positive ones are going to help us defend against them?" Sorry. Yeah, that handwriting is kind of sloppy.
Well, hello, Josh's family member. It's nice to meet you, and thank you for reaching out and connecting with us. So Everything vibrates with a certain frequency. There are some beings that vibrate with a lower frequency and some beings that vibrate with a higher frequency. We tend to call those that vibrate with a lower frequency scary or mean or evil. So yes, there are beings that make us uncomfortable. I can't really call them evil or mean. It's just that they have a vibration that makes us uncomfortable, and we have decided to call them scary and mean. And then it's through that filter, then we judge everything they do, and then we think that everything they do is evil and mean and not to our benefit. Josh has said that there was a shadow being that you saw, and I also came in contact with an astral men in black, and that was a very low vibratory being, and it was attached to a friend who was visiting me, and I had to fight really hard. It was an energetic battle. I had to fight really hard to get that astral man in black out of my bedroom because its energy, it was just a couple of feet from my bed, and I saw it. It was tall, it was black, it had that hat and that suit, and I felt its energy come out of it and into me. And it felt like it was these tentacles that came into me, and then it wanted to pull me out. It just wanted to take my essence and just pull me out. And I said to it, no, 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 you have got to go, because I know I'm in control. I am in control. I didn't know this years ago, but now I know I'm in control. So we had this energetic battle, and I won, and it left. And I bring this up because I want people to know you are in control. They're not in control. But we give up our control so easily, thinking, oh my God, this scary being is more powerful than I am. I have to give in. That's not true. You don't have to.
Still have
a bit of a battle. Excuse me.
So is this like the Glimmer Man? Is that what they call type thing that you're talking about?
Oh, I don't know what the Glimmer Man is. What is that?
Chad, Sonny, y'all can explain that a little better, can't you?
Man, the Glimmer Man. I don't know if I know too much about the Glimmer Man.
Glimmer Man.
They say he's also. They also call him like the man in the hat, or
the hat
man, or skinny man. He's a dark shadowy figure like that.
Yes.
With the hat.
So it's very important the kind of energy that you radiate. If you radiate a high frequency, then you're going to align with beings that are of a high frequency. If you radiate a low vibe, you're going to attract beings or align with beings that are of a low vibe. This is why it's so important to pay attention to what you think, what you eat, what you watch, what you read. Actually, on my YouTube channel, Alien Spirit TV, I have free videos about how to increase your frequency, increase your vibration, and also free videos on how to channel, how to communicate with ETs and other worldly beings. And there's also meditations at the end of those that are pretty potent. And so I do a lot with helping people raise their frequency so that when you are traveling through these dimensions, you're going to come in contact with high frequency beings, not low frequency beings. Sometimes they try. You can have a high frequency, and sometimes this low frequency being is just going to go, I'm going to give her a shot and see what she does. And then you're like, go back home, and they leave. And so this being was attached to a friend of mine who was spending a week with me. She was sleeping in the guest room. However, she had just started falling down the pitfall, I call it a pitfall, this tunnel, this pit of believing that Hillary's going to be arrested tomorrow, and they eat babies and this and that and this, and it just went on and on and on. And when you're engrossed in that, that is a low vibe. It's fear-based vibe. So if you're radiating a fear-based vibe, you're going to align with these astral men in blacks. You're going to align with maybe these glimmer men. I don't know what they are, but it sounds to me that maybe they were of a lower vibration, or are they of a higher vibration?
This sounds negative. Yeah, very, very low frequency. I need to say something else really quick, because this is so I didn't know about you having the hat man or the glimmer man or whatever you want to call it. So the girl from my dream, the one who I know personally who had the near-death experience and contacted me afterwards, I ended up opening up to her a little bit about things, not so much as far as all the ET stuff, but I did tell her about the orbs and stuff, and I found out that she, as a child, had experiences with the same beings that you're talking about, the hat man, she's talking about being a child and waking up in the bed, and she's gonna be shocked whenever I'm gonna show her this video actually. She told me she would wake up in the bed as a kid because I asked her if she'd ever had any kind of experiences, because I was just blown away that, you know, she had a near death experience, and, you know, why was she in my dream? She said that she would wake up and there would be this man in black, and first off, it's like the whole corner of her room would be more dark, like a lot more dark than the rest of the room. And there would just be this man, like a shadowy figure with a black hat on, just like you're saying, and that he'd just be standing in the corner just watching her, and that she would be almost paralyzed pretty much in her bed, and she didn't know if she was paralyzed from fear or if it was the being was getting, you know, making her paralyzed, but that it would just terrorize her, and it would happen over and over as a child. And once her mother even walked in the room, and she's sitting there screaming and crying, and she's telling her mother like it's right there, and her mother is looking at it, and apparently her mother can't see anything, but she's looking at this being right next to her mom, but only she can see it. And that kind of gave me this theory that maybe these extra dimensional beings can kind of zone into a person's frequency to where that person is having experience and other people are not, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That goes with sightings too. How you could be looking at a spaceship or a UFO, and maybe the person next to you is like, I don't see it. I don't see it. But that does happen. And right, I agree with your theory. Also, I was about to say something regarding these astral men in black. Oh, and the military. It could very well be that our military has something to do with these astral men in black. We know that they have something to do with the 3D men in black, but these astral men in black, our government and other governments on this planet have actively and are actively engaging in remote viewing, astral projection, psychic warfare. And we've been doing it for a long time. The U.S. government has declassified thousands and thousands of pages about this, about the secret programs that we had. It could very well be that our government knows how to interdimensionally poke at somebody, bother somebody, maybe bother an experiencer to the point of scaring them so they don't talk, to the point of scaring them that they don't want to have experiences or be taught by ETs anymore. These are just ideas I'm throwing out. I don't know, but I would not be surprised if our government has a way to psychically poke at us.
I'm sorry, just one moment. I have somebody knocking at my door. I apologize.
No problem, Josh.
I saw somebody had written a comment about Sasquatch.
Yeah, that was Terry Brown. Terry said, I kind of think that the Glimmerman sightings are actually a Sasquatch during a phasing or changing of frequencies, but what the hell do I know? And then he asked Thin Lizzy, did your encounter include a silent period? So Thin Lizzy in the chat also had an experience, or she said that her husband had a Glimmerman experience and a Hatman experience. And then
there's a difference. That is the Glitterman just a being that looks glittery, like a star being?
Melissa says that the Glimmerman looks like a predator, but he's cloaked, and it looks like heat coming off the highway.
Ooh.
Like these shimmers, kind of like that. I guess that's where he gets his name from.
Okay. And when he shows up, he just makes the person uncomfortable?
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't really heard of anybody. Sonny, have you heard of anyone getting like a negative physical reaction to the Glimmerman? I think it's just, yeah,
just they get scared.
Yeah. Yeah. To my knowledge, I think it's just a shadowy figure that shows up and kind of tries to intimidate you or scare you a little bit. But
yeah. So when these things happen, it's really important to pay attention. Why am I aligning with this being? Like, what's going on that this lower frequency being is in my presence? What's happening? I have something to do with this. So what are the frequencies that I'm exuding that this being is kind of aligning with? I don't want to exude those frequencies anymore. What's my mind belief that's making me exude those low vibe frequencies? Let me get rid of them.
That's awesome.
Everything okay, Josh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just had my neighbor was just asking me a question.
Oh, you can't borrow any sugar. We're on a podcast.
Did anybody else have any questions? I still had a couple more written down here.
Oh no, go ahead, man. We just covered a couple comments while you were gone
Okay.
in the comment section.
Okay, my next question, and this is from my second family member that I can't name.
Oh.
It's a short, quick question. Do you believe that the deceased loved ones can reincarnate or be attached to animals? My dog, I feel like, has the spirit of my grandfather. I can't explain why, but I just know this. It also sees entities before they pop up.
Well, hello, Josh's family member. Thank you for being with us today, and thank you for the question. Okay, that's a pretty good question. Can people reincarnate as animals? Can animals reincarnate as people? Ultimately, yeah, it's totally possible, because all that's happening is your consciousness is entering a vehicle or another package, and your consciousness can enter any kind of package. It can also be that a loved one is talking through a pet, not necessarily taking over and becoming the pet or coming back as a pet, but talking through the pet. Animals are super, super psychic. I've had many, many psychic experiences with my animals. And so I talk with them as much as I can. I talk with them when I'm not home. I telepathically talk with them. And I encourage everyone to do this, especially cats. Dogs, very much so, but especially cats. Cats are so plugged in. In fact, just a couple nights ago, I was sitting on my couch. It was during the day over here, and I was petting my one cat. His name is 3, and he was a wild cat. And to my left, I saw like this. It was like this long electric like beam. It was it kind of went like this, and it was right here, right next to me. And I'm like, okay, whatever what was that? And then my cat, because I get validation through my cat. Then my cat saw it, instantly alert, tail starts going like this. So I'm like, okay, it wasn't my imagination. The cat saw it too. And I've had several experiences where things are in the room and I look at the cat and the cat sees it and I'm like, all right, it's not my imagination.
Yeah, me and my ex-wife had this cat named Salem, and it would stare at the corner sometimes. Same corner all the time. There's nothing there, and it would just stare and start putting its ears back and growl. And I'm just like, what in the hell is going on? And once the cat was doing it, I took my hand in front of the cat's face and literally did like this, and the cat did not break eye contact with whatever it was staring at. And back then, it meant nothing to me. You know, this is years ago, but now I think about it. I'm like, God, I used to talk shit, and the cat's name was Salem, you know, coincidentally, and I named it that, you know. But you know, now I think back on it, I'm like, man, that cat might have been, you know, looking at something, you know, seeing something that we can't see, you know, a spectrum of light or some type of energy that we can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. On what you were just saying, Sev, I'm going to bring up something I've never told, I don't think anybody except for you. Well, you witnessed it. And I was speaking to you privately one time, and I've been trying to tell myself over and over that my eyes were playing tricks on me or something. But do you remember one day I was speaking to you privately, and I told you, or actually I freaked out because it looked like a orb popped up in my bedroom. Do you remember this?
Yes.
God, I don't even know how to explain it. It was in the corner of my eye, but it looked like a little tiny ball of light, and it looked like a little piece, like a little spark came from it whenever it materialized. And God, you guys, I was talking to Sev privately in the middle of a conversation. I think I was telling about going over to Chris Bledsoe's, and this made me jump out of my chair. It freaked me out. But that's the only time I've ever had something other than the shadow figure in my home, actually.
Oh.
But yeah, now I'm starting to accept that probably wasn't a figment of my imagination, especially since I just left Chris Bledsoe's house. But what you're talking about, what you're talking about with your cat, that was inside your home, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. And
a lot of us see orbs inside the room, and they just kind of appear like this, and then they flash like a star, and they could be different colors and things. And when we look straight at them, they seem to disappear. And it's just because our vision on this side of the way we're made, the vision on this side is a lot softer, and so we can kind of see through the dimensions a little easier off to the side. And then when we look straight on, then our logical brain takes over, and then we just see it's 3D. Although I do teach, I do help people see auras. I have an online class called the Psychic Studio, and there's 6 modules, and every month you get a module, and with each module we concentrate on a different psychic ability: clairvoyance, clairaudience, seeing auras, and things like that. And so I do help people see the energy that comes off of people and animals too, like looking straight on, because it can be done. We don't always want to see just in our peripheral vision. It helps if we can like look at something and see it straight on too. It just takes practice.
Okay. That's great. Can I ask, or did you guys have a question? I have 2 more questions.
I just had a quick question. So do you know, I've always heard that kids can see up until about the age of 6 or 7, that kids can still see ghosts and things that we can't see. Do you think that that's true around that age? And why do you think that is? What changes at that age?
Well, we go to school in the United States of America, then we're not encouraged to talk about those kind of things, and we're discouraged. I hope that's changing now, but that's what happens is society all of a sudden gets into the kid's head and tells the kid what's normal to talk about and what's abnormal, and that you shouldn't talk about it.
So it's almost like you're born with a muscle, and if you don't use it by a certain age, if you don't keep continually practicing, then you kind of lose it.
Yeah, it can atrophy, but you can pick it up. And that's this online course that I'm teaching is to help you exercise your paranormal muscles, because we all have them. And we can all hear, feel, and see through the dimensions, all of us. And first of all, it just takes the conscious awareness that we can do it. And second, practice.
It's like neuroplasticity, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. This is a question from an experiencer that I met online, and his name is Tobias, and he wants to know if some of us could be extraterrestrials without knowing it.
Okay. Thank you, Tobias. That's a good question. Well, we all have ET DNA. We're all children of the stars. And some of us have more ET DNA than others, and some of us are activating our ET DNA. And as you raise your frequency, you are activating ET DNA. So with that said, yes, I do believe that many of us are, if you want to call them hybrids, but not in the traditional sense, more in the sense that we house ET DNA and we can activate it. If that is what you call a hybrid, then okay, use that word. The word hybrid is so overused now. I wish we could come up with another word. As far as being an ET, like in the movies where an ET comes down and then tries to be a human, is that happening? Well, it could be happening, but that's a complete waste of time. Have you seen the movie, David Bowie's movie, The Man Who Came to Earth? Well,
No.
That sounds familiar. I was thinking of Star Wars or something.
There was an alien on the planet. It was David Bowie. And he's definitely this really wonderful movie about he was an alien and he came to Earth and how he had to deal with being a human. It's really good. I've watched it.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know for a fact Tobias, I think this is why he's asking this. Tobias truly believes that Elon Musk is an alien. Very firm.
Activated
Constantly telling me.
Yes.
Constantly tells me, like, why do you think he wants to get to Mars so bad, man? He's an alien. I mean, he's something. I have mixed feelings on Elon Musk. Very mixed feelings. There's a lot of things I really like about him, other things I not so much. But he's definitely a unique person. I'll say that. And the way his brain functions, the way his brain functions is, God, yeah. If there's somebody, David Bowie and Elon Musk, they're probably aliens.
Yeah.
I wish I would have been a little more specific with him, because I was thinking of like star seeds and stuff like that also whenever you're talking. And walk-ins, I think that's something newer that I've learned about. Can you explain that to me, actually, walk-ins? Because I'm not really completely up to date with that.
All right. Well, I might have a different opinion about walk-ins. So, from what I understand, the typical definition of a walk-in is I'm going about my business being Sev, and then all of a sudden another soul enters my body, and I'm really someone else. And but I look like Sev, but I don't feel like Sev, and I know stuff I didn't know before. Well, here's my theory. It could very well be that it feels like another soul has entered your body because you've had this conscious expansion. And that it could very well be that it's not another soul coming in your body, it's just you being consciously aware of the bigger parts of you, of the more of you. And because that feels so alien, you might think that another soul or another energy is coming inside of you, whereas really it's your own growth. And you just don't recognize yourself to be that advanced or that spiritually knowledgeable. That's what I think about it. What do you guys think about it?
That's exactly how I feel, actually. And Tobias has been telling me that he thinks I had a walk-in, and I told him exactly what you said, pretty much. That it's like something triggered something within me where I started accepting things that I feel like I always knew. I just wasn't aware that I knew it. And even like before I believed in any of this stuff, I always felt like there was something off about reality, if that makes sense. I mean, even as a child, I remember thinking, and maybe it's because I have my oldest sister, she's half Japanese. Now, so I have Buddhist family members and I have Christian family members. I remember being like a child, thinking like, why should certain family members have to go to hell just because they grew up on a different side of the planet? And I would look at things like anomalies, like the pyramids on every continent, and think, why are people making pyramids? Back then when they shouldn't build across the oceans, and everything it felt a little off growing up, So I guess whenever I started having these experiences, I was really able to accept it because I don't know, it felt familiar, if that makes sense.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's a remembering. You're having a remembering.
That's cool.
You guys got another question? I have one more question from somebody.
No, I don't see any more questions in the chat. If I do see any more, I'll put a flag on them. But yeah, you can go ahead and ask that one real quick.
Okay, this is from an experiencer I just met in another chat not too long ago. She might be listening right now. Her name is Brittany. She got introduced to you by me, Sev, and she said first off that she loves your channel. Where are you going in the future? I hope to see you. I hope to see you on TV programs and documentaries soon. I love your channel.
Oh my goodness.
That's awesome.
Wow, you made my heart glow. Thank you.
Hi, Brittany, if you're watching.
I was featured on a Canadian docuseries along with Terry Lovelace about UFO encounters that Preston Dennett is on. He's on the episode that I'm in too. And so you can see me there. It's called UFO Encounters, Physical Contact is the episode that I'm in. Also going to be the Master of Ceremonies at the MUFON International Symposium in Denver this summer, which I'm really honored about and excited about. I have some other things that I'm working on that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. But this year, I'm going to make a lot more videos on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was cool.
Hi, Brittany, if you're watching.
Thank you, Brittany.
Thanks for the question, Brittany. Josh had a question from John in the chat. He says, are fiery orbs akin to Renaissance drones? Are they fingerprints of wormholes, shadows of higher dimensions? Are they more metaphysical or spiritual? Is the answer yes to all of the above?
Oh, John, that's really good. Thank you. When you say akin to reconnaissance drones,
reconnaissance drones, sorry.
Yeah, akin to them, sure. I don't know what you mean by akin. So I'm just going to talk about orbs that are not drones. And so there could be a variety of things. We really are not sure what orbs are, but just from my experience, from Josh's experience, I don't know, Sunny and Chad, have you seen orbs?
I have not seen orbs. No.
No, okay.
Just what I seen on that phone.
Right.
Yeah.
So the orbs could be a consciousness of another worldly being. An orb can be the consciousness of an ET. An orb can just be the being itself, that's the shape that it has. An orb could be an entryway to a portal. An orb can be many, many, many things, even things that I don't even know about. So when you encounter an orb, I suggest you just try to align with it. Just try and you might not want to close your eyes because you don't want to miss it, but just concentrate and focus on it. Try to become one with it. And see if you can hear a message or see a vision or just have a feeling. One thing that we forget when we encounter another worldly being or an orb or a spaceship or anything, the initial reaction is that, oh my God, then we forget to actually interact with it. So if you're an experiencer, if you experience a lot, or if you see a lot of orbs or you see a lot of spaceships, eventually you get to the point where like, oh, there's another one. You're not freaked out anymore. Well, that is the perfect time to be very present and to actually form communication with that orb or with that being or with that spaceship. And you will be downloaded information.
Yes, I believe that orbs are a huge variety of things, just like you said. I think it's just like compressed energy somehow, you know. That I've never heard the reconnaissance drones or in the fingerprints of wormhole stuff. That's kind of new to me, but I think it's interesting. But I think it could be all of the above, like you were saying. I've seen most of the orbs I've seen are usually like a white or a goldish amber color. But I've now seen a pink one since the other night, and that one was actually inside of a craft or possibly materialized into the craft. I'm not sure.
Wow.
But I know especially from like what I've also seen more bright dark oranges orbs, and one that had a kind of a purplish tint to it, I guess, whenever I was at Chris's house. But he's told me that he sees orbs that he knows for a fact are ETs. What's up, Big Willie? And other orbs that are more spiritual, you know. So I think it could be just a wide variety thing. It's just this compressed energy, and it's linked to some consciousness in some type of way.
Yes.
And maybe some of them are drones, you know.
So it is linked to a consciousness, which is also linked to your consciousness. And there's a reason you're seeing it. None of this happens by accident. None of it happens by accident. There's good reason.
Yes. What you were saying, I wanted to kind of jump off of that last question to something else. Sev, if you remember the first actual craft that I've seen, the only craft I've seen clearly that I knew was a craft other than orbs, I drew a really sloppy picture of it and sent it to you. I don't have that picture right now, but I just redrew it. And it was so sloppy because my hands were shaking afterwards. And see if you guys can see this really quick. It was this type of shape right here. And it was, first off, the weird thing is that we tried to do a CE5 event thing with a group of people that I just met. And actually, Bobby is in the chat right now. I don't know if she still is. She was supposed to be there that night, and she couldn't make it, but she did a remote viewing and said that she saw a white flashing light. And what was really bizarre is whenever we were meditating, me and the woman sitting next to me, we both saw a white flashing light inside of our head. And as soon as the meditation was over, that's the first thing she said was that she saw a white flashing light, and that blew my mind. And also the what's it called, the EMF or the things that people use for like paranormal investigations. The I can't remember what it's called. EMF, something like that. You know, it buzzes, I guess, whenever there's a frequency change or something. It started buzzing right whenever we saw that light.
Oh.
And then Bobby tells me, you know, the next or later on that night that when she did a remote viewing of us, that she saw a white flashing light. And it just blew my mind. So whenever I get home that night, we didn't see anything doing the C5. But as soon as I walk out on my back balcony, it's a transparent looking craft just like this. And it's got like a foggy surface to it. But this shape perfect, and it's huge. I mean, it looked like the size of like a 2-story house, and it shocked me. But it's just got this foggy surface, and it's just like, God, I'm going the wrong way. I guess it's just slowly gliding like this over Wilmington, like over some of these apartments, and it does it for like 2 or 3 seconds, and it just fades away into nothing. And I was in such shock. I dropped my phone, almost dropped my phone off my 3rd floor of my apartment, and my hands were just shaking. I couldn't believe what I saw, and I drew a picture of it, and I sent this to Sev. And I later found out about God, what's the guy who, the first person to ever report a UFO? What's his name?
Calvin?
Sorry?
Calvin Parker, the first person that reported
no,
I don't know who the person is.
The very first, the one who coined the term flying saucer. I'm trying to remember his name.
The coined the term what?
The guy who made the term flying saucer. I can't remember his name right now. Like the very first.
Okay, I don't know.
Chad, do you remember, Sonny? One of you guys? Kenneth Arnold. There you go. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I found out. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, John.
I found out later on the craft that he saw. It was this shape. And I had no idea. I was very new into this back then. I'd never seen that shape. I didn't know who Kenneth Arnold was.
Yeah.
But the way that I saw this, and after I seen it, I was trying to wrap my head around it. I remember looking at the trees. There was no wind blowing. There was no clouds in the sky. There was no fog. But it was just this perfect shape right here. And the way that it appeared, it's like it wanted me to see it for a minute. And I told somebody that day doing the Sea Vibe event, like, I've seen some orbs now, I want to see an actual craft. And when I told Chris Bledsoe about this the next day, he tells me, you asked to see a craft and they showed you a craft. So, Sev, what you're saying about, it not being on accident, I do really strongly agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I love that it was semi-cloaked. It was kind of cloaked, not totally cloaked. Yeah, and it was huge. Mm-hmm.
It's going so slow. It's like, how is this not falling out of the sky?
I'm sorry.
I said it was going slow. I'm just wondering, how is this not falling out of the sky right now?
Mm-hmm. So I was just going to say, the next time you see it, maybe you can intentionally connect with it and get a downloaded message.
Yeah, that is probably the most, other than my experience at Chris's house, that's the most mind-blowing one that I've had.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sev, do you have a lot of cases from the Cape Fear River, the same spot that everyone else seems to see their UFOs?
Yeah, it's a pretty active area. Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that is?
Well, we're on a ley line over here, on a very high-frequency energetic ley line.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like this high-energy highway that beings are attracted to.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We had another guest on the other day that was talking about his first time seeing a UFO, and it was actually in the same spot that Josh saw his. I don't know, Josh, did you tell her about?
No, all the synchronicities with that guy. Yeah, that was mind blowing. Yeah, so these synchronicities, I tell everybody, the more you look for them, the more you're going to see them. We had this guest on here today. What was his name? John.
Yeah,
he's a paranormal investigator. Turns out he lived in Wilmington, not even a mile and a half maybe from where I'm living at right now. Also worked at the same exact job that I just left, but I've been at for like the past 2 years. And we drove the same truck.
Yep.
He also almost died in a car accident like I did. He also plays guitar like I do. And he saw a UFO at the Cape Fear River. So, and we got this, like, this is on a stream that we're finding all this stuff out.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen him.
I'm like, am I being set up right now? Really? It's just, yeah, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it was the first time meeting, and then all of a sudden, they're talking about, oh, you didn't work here, did you? Yep, worked there. And then John, it's John the Paranormal Guy on YouTube, and John said, you didn't happen by chance to be driving truck 17, did you? And Josh about fell out of his chair.
Oh, the same exact truck from the company?
Same exact truck, yeah.
Oh.
Lived in the same town, worked at the same company, drove the same truck.
Kind of like your energetic twin, kind of. Very interesting.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
Yeah, and he left Wilmington right about the time that I moved to Wilmington. So it's just like, yeah, it's bizarre. And the fact that we got on together, found out all this stuff live, it was just like overload of synchronicity. It's really fascinating, really, but it blew my mind.
Also, going back to past lives, or I call them alternate lives, sometimes we engage with the same people in our different consciousnesses. What could be your wife in this life could be your father in another consciousness. It could very well be that this young man is a consciousness that you interact with in a variety of your alternate lives.
Well, wow, yeah, that's really fascinating. So Sev, what are I think we're not going to go too long today, right, guys? Because we got Preston Dennett coming on here in a little bit, and I know Sev's got some stuff to do. But I wanted to ask what do you have coming up as far as like any interviews or anything?
Oh, thank you for asking. Yeah, there's lots of interviews coming up, but none of them is fun and as special as this one. That's for sure, because this is the debut of TrippyTimes, which is a really cool name. I like it, and I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you. I remember the first time we met and how you were really in a freak out mode, but you were in a controlled freak out mode. At least when you were talking to me, you're controlling your freak out. But I could tell, like your mind was going, oh my God, like the what? Now you have your own show. You're a testament to all experiencers, to all people everywhere that you're ready. You're ready and you're doing a fine job. And you're very likable and you're intelligent and you're charismatic. So congratulations. Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
So to answer your question, I'll be at the MUFON Symposium as the MC, putting a lot of new videos on my YouTube channel, Alien Spirit TV. I have the Psychic Studio online course, and I'm going to be writing my second book this year too. It's time for
really?
So that'll come out sometime this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for what you said. I'm super humbled. And to me, like I never expected to be doing this, and it's all kind of happened on accident. I just I like speaking to other experiencers and finding out, like you said earlier, just finding out that I'm not alone, the only one, going through stuff like this. And I feel like, oh, sorry, just a moment. It didn't kick me off, did it?
No, I mean it kicked your video's not really working, but we can still hear you just fine.
Sorry, just a moment.
Gotta love it,
man.
Man.
Well, if you guys can still hear me, it's just about the hearing other people's stories. You can't learn everything from, TV and the internet. I work a lot better just by speaking to other people and hearing their experiences.
Yeah,
I'm sorry about my video. I don't know what I just did, but it kicked off my camera.
That's all right, man. Tomorrow's going to be a new day with a laptop.
Oh, yes, definitely.
So, yeah, cool.
And thank you, everybody who chatted and asked questions and wrote in. I'm very grateful. And Chad and Sunny, it was really a pleasure to meet you.
It was really nice to meet you, too. So.
Yeah, it was very nice meeting you.
You do. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. I think Josh is probably going to be on here within the next 5 seconds or so he can give you a proper goodbye.
We need to talk again too about the dreams that you were talking about at the beginning. People have dreams, but they're really real.
Why do you have some of those? You do.
I've had one. Yeah.
Would you like to tell us?
Well, I've told it on here before. I started doing like the out of body experience YouTube things to listen to it to go to sleep. It helps me sleep actually. Then it worked a couple times. Like I got it to it works. It works. And then after that, maybe I don't know how many, maybe months, 3 months after I had been doing that, I wasn't listening to any of those bio beat things or anything. I just went to bed one night and I ended up like in this building, and I'm on a walkway, and there's a frame that's leaned up on the walkway, and I have a cart next to me with cells on it, and this frame is a battery. It's holding these battery cells, okay, and I'm putting them together, and then I start like, because there's also the walkway I'm on. There's another walkway above me, and there's two people up there. And one person I could see, he's just a guy with a white lab coat on. And then the thing next to him, I can't, he has a lab coat on too, but I can't see its face. I can't, it's tall too. It's way taller than the guy he's standing next to. And I start clicking these things on, and then I start asking, as I'm facing this battery, I'm talking out loud because they can hear me. They're right above me, right behind me. And I tell them, what does this go to? And the thing says, it goes right there. You just put one on. And I said, no, not this, like not the cell. I know where the cells go. And that's when I look back up at them, and I'm talking to the man in the lab coat. And he says, yeah, they go right there. Just keep clicking them in, and that's how they go. I said, not where they go or how do they go. What is it for? What is this going to do? And then the thing standing next to him tells me, just finish the battery, but his mouth doesn't move. He thinks it to me. And then, so now I'm still clicking these things on there, grabbing them off the cart, and they're kind of heavy. They're this weird blue. Like I try to explain it like our Bluetooth signal. You know how it gives you that flashing blue light, that color blue, but inside of them, it's like moving in there. It's liquid, some kind of liquid or something. And every time I click it next to the next battery, that's another thing too. When they click on, it's almost like a magnet. They snap on the sides. They clicked on real hard. That liquid that was flowing in there then started flowing like through the battery like it was electronic, and the whole thing started moving together as you start clicking these cells on. So then I ask again, like I want to know what it's gonna power. Like, does this run a motor? Does this run, what is this gonna do? And the thing says again, just finish the battery. And he's not being nice after I keep asking more and more questions. He's saying it in a real mean way. Just finish the battery. And, and then I'm getting pissed. And then as I'm clicking these on, I'm thinking to myself, like now I'm thinking to myself, he's pissing me off, and then I start thinking, oh shit, can he hear me? As I'm clicking the things on, that's all going through my head. And when I turn around and I ask the guy in the white lab coat again, the man that I can see, he tells me that when I'm done building this, this thing, and the way I describe it is it looks like a Fabergé egg, but it's covered in dragon scales. That's what those battery cells look like when you stacking them on. Looks like it's covered in scales, and I start from the bottom and work my way to the top. So I don't get to finish it either, because after he tells me, after I finish this cell, they're going to take that battery thing that I'm building and they're going to put it on. It's just like another small battery cell. After I put all these little ones on it, they're going to stick it on something else. That's going to go on a bigger battery. That was just part of a battery I was building. That wasn't the whole battery of it. In other words, it was going to be a bigger thing. And then I said, okay, I understand that. So it's going to be even bigger, basically, but what is it going to do? What does it power up? And that's when, bam, I was back in bed, and I set up, and I had this book next to my bed, and I don't draw. I don't write stuff down. I don't keep this book next to my bed in case I wake up and want to write something down. It was just there. Okay, I had this book next to my bed. It's from the railroad. I used to work at the railroad. I used to have to carry this all the time. It was just next to the bed. And when I woke up, I drew this. Wow. It's real sloppy. I don't even know what I have written down.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a pine cone. So
yeah, it does.
Can you read to us what it says?
I wrote each cell was shaped. Each cell was shaped to where it would snap in together, and that's why I drew it like that. I remember that's how I was telling you they would snap on like they were magnetic. Those
Yeah,
dark spots on this little cell right here,
yeah.
that's where each one would clip on like that. They would just snap into place. As soon as you set them there, they just almost jumped out of your hands. Oh, that's another thing. When I was picking the cells up, I had a fear of if I dropped one of those, it would be bad. Like if you could get that stuff on you that was inside there, it would be real bad. I don't know what would happen, but I just knew that that would be bad. Like you didn't want to get
Real
that on
bad.
you. Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know if
that's
they told me that or.
remarkable, Sonny. That's remarkable. I've never heard of anything like that before. I've never heard anyone.
And then
Uh,
the other side just says only got that far, woke up, didn't get to finish. That's all it
That's an
says.
experience, and it's so detailed. Like I think you had some kind of experience. Well, sorry,
Yeah,
Seb. What were you?
that's
what were you
another thing
saying?
is it's every time I tell that story, it's like it happened last night. That was a long time ago, but I never forget
Right.
it. It's
Right. So a couple things just come to me immediately. It sounds my labby because you have this
I
man
think the
in
same thing.
a coat. Yeah, it could be like some kind of my lab experience. Plus, they weren't nice, so that tends to kind of support a my lab experience. The other thing is it looks like a pine cone, and the history of the pine cone is a very interesting one. And the ancients used to use the symbol of the pine cone to represent the pineal gland or to represent your third eye.
Oh,
And there's a lot of ancient civilization drawings and sculptures of the pine cone. If you Google pine cone, you'll see that it was a very, very important symbol for civilizations that were very spiritual. So that symbolism does not escape me in your story. What do you think of that?
yeah, Sonny. I've heard that story a few times from you, but not that detailed. And I was about to say the exact same thing about the My Lab. I'm new to it, but before she even said that, that's exactly what I've been thinking. Was it sound like you had like a My Lab on an astral plane type thing or something, maybe?
Sev, there was more people in that building because
Uh-huh.
and everybody had white on. That's what I do remember. But there's a lot of people working like out in this. It's like a big hangar type
It's a
thing. But
hangar.
I'm standing on a walkway like a runway in a walkway in the hangar with a rail on it, stairs that come up to it, and then they're just basically on the same thing behind me. They're that much higher than me as I am over the floor of this hangar. They're that much higher again, like on a third level, right above me, behind me. And on theirs isn't a walkway type thing. It's like a walkway, just like mine with the rail, but theirs has like an office type thing in behind them. It's like I could remember it really good. And then the people that were out there working, I remember thinking, if I was to yell hi right now and wave to those people, even if I screamed it, I don't think they would hear me. That's how far away people were. Like, and that's how big this hangar is
Wow.
that I was
And
standing
so
in.
it was all human except for that one maybe
Except for
alien.
that one thing, just that one thing I can't see, and it's much bigger than the man. And I remember his hands; he only had 3 fingers, I think. That's what I
Oh,
stick
Wow.
3 or
okay.
4 fingers maybe, and they're
What
really
you-
long.
What you're describing is aligned with other stories experiencers have told me that have had my lab experiences where they're
Yeah.
dealing with humans and beings all in the same room or in a huge hangar. Sometimes they're under the water. Sometimes they're on another plane or on another planet. Did you have a sense of where you were in a cave maybe too?
I felt like
Underground.
all I could
Underground,
see
maybe?
was the reason I say it's like a hangar is because where I could see all these people working out there, behind them is a big, huge opening door, and all I can see out there is space, like just darkness. Like I could be on a mountain, I could have been in a mountain, but looking out. So all I could see was just sky. Like that was it,
Wow.
just sky and stars out there. Like I was
Oh.
looking out a
Very
window,
soft
but it was
Wow.
open. It was totally open. So I didn't feel like I was in space because that whole thing was totally open. There was no door shut or nothing. Yeah, it looked like you could land a craft in there, a plane, and then take off from in there too. It was that big.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me that or telling us that. That's incredible. So, do
Yeah.
you have a desire to learn more, or does that really freak you out? You don't want to learn anymore?
Well, I told that story before on UFO Garage with Ben and Joe, and I think Ben is the one that told Melinda Leslie, and Melinda Leslie told him to tell me to never forget that was something I was going to need to know later on. And the thing I leave out is I've been doing batteries forever. Since the year I got out of high school, I worked at a battery shop, and I used to build batteries. From back then, we built them and put them on the shelves. They didn't come assembled back then. We had to put the lead in them and acid and poles and glue them together. We just got plastic boxes to start out with, and we built the inside of the batteries. And even right now I'm balancing LiPo batteries. They're like a foot away from me. I'm really good with batteries. So
knowledge that you inherently have. And then as you're talking, I'm wondering, does the pineal gland, which comes from pineal, which means pine cone in Latin, is that a battery?
What was that?
My mind's going on overload.
The pineal gland is sort of battery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The pine cone.
It like you said, it's kind of shaped like a pine cone, I guess. But it to me was like a Fabergé egg. I remember the bottom. I drew it round at the bottom because I was drawing like an egg. I can't draw, so that's what I drew. But the bottom was definitely flat. It was like an egg, but when you got to the bottom, it was flat. It was almost shaped like one of the cells I was clicking in there. It was almost that shape. But
do you meditate?
Sometimes, as far as like for astral projection stuff, I do.
That's cool.
At night, yeah.
Okay. So it also seems like it's a message for you to start activating your third eye. And so there are meditations you can do for your third eye to activate.
I've done that.
Oh, you've done. Okay. All right. Then, yeah, this is super cool, Sonny. That's really, really remarkable.
Yeah, my lab regression with that MUFON Investigator. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I've heard the story, but just not quite as detailed. And now my mind is kind of blown, Sonny.
What else are you doing?
What
else is Sonny doing over there in that huge cave in space? I'd like to know more.
That was it. After asking too many questions, they don't like to answer questions.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like what Sev said, like you've got some maybe knowledge that you obviously have now, but maybe like in the other, I guess, astral plane or whatever, maybe they were using that knowledge like to its fullest to help them benefit themselves, I guess, in this my lab experience. That's what it is. Yeah, Sonny, man, that's mind boggling, man. I swear my lab was the first thing I was thinking whenever you started getting more detailed into it before Sev even said that.
Yeah.
So that's
Melinda
incredible.
Leslie is like the queen of my lab. She actually just gave a presentation to the ERT. Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you have a my lab, you go to Melinda Leslie because she has been accumulating a lot of research. A lot of people have these kind of experiences, and if they're not nice, or if they're not polite, or if they're kind of rude, that kind of right away kind of kicks you into a my lab situation. So yeah, I'd like to know more. I hope you know more.
It's never happened again, and I always felt like it was because I asked too many questions. I was too curious.
Well, maybe have a particular scenario to your superior, but ultimately, you can't be too curious, right? Ultimately,
yeah,
like through your higher
for
self.
them, I felt maybe.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's like just do your work.
It wasn't something that was scary. I will say that when I got up and I drew that, and I was waking up, I felt like I just came home from work, not like I just woke up. I felt more tired than rested.
Very interesting.
Sonny, would you ever like be interested in doing a like a regression for that?
On Sunny?
Yeah, Sonny, like for that
Well, I
experience.
don't do hypnotherapy regressions. I channel information for my client without my client going into a state. I just hear, feel, and see what a past life is or what a particular situation is about. But if you are interested in, where do you live?
Fresno, California.
Oh, well, there are people out there that can help you. I'm sure you've thought about it. What do you think? Would you
Ooh,
like to
that'd be so
to
cool.
discover more?
Yeah.
Mm.
I
Maybe.
was gonna say, you know people, don't you, Sev, that do regressions?
Yeah. And there's some states that don't have any regression therapists, but there are some in California if you're interested.
There you go, Sonny.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah,
right.
but if you're ready, like if you're not ready, do not do it.
Right.
Yeah, I just I didn't used to believe in hypnotism until I seen someone get hypnotized that I know. Now I really believe in it.
Ah.
Yeah, because I personally know this man. He would not have done the things that he did. Not in a million, not for $1 million. Not and yeah. And
Yeah.
I watched.
Can you tell that story, Sev? I mean,
really
Sonny, tell that story real quick, Sonny. I think it's such a funny story.
Okay, I know this guy. His name's Terry, and he's a truck driver, an older guy. He went to a show where there's a bunch of people in the audience, and they have a stage, and there's a guy that's going to hypnotize people. Well, he pulled people up out of the audience. I've seen the shows before. I always thought just those people work for him that they take out of the audience, you know. So, and so one of my buddies is one of the guys he picks, and he goes up there, and like I think a month before, maybe 2 months before that, he had just had knee surgery and stuff, so he wasn't working, and he was off work, I think, and they're at this show and having a good time. They take him up there, and the way I see this is after this is all done, they sell a DVD. Okay, you can buy a DVD. So his wife bought a copy so we could all watch what happened. This is how I know what happened. And so he gets up on stage, and I'm laughing already. I'm like, oh man, he's not gonna do this. Like he's gonna just be one of the people that they send back or something, or you know. So this hypnotist guy, he's got like 10 people up there, and they're all sitting in just regular chairs, like a kitchen chair, and they're in like a half moon circle or whatever, half circle the chairs are, and the guy starts at one end. My buddy's maybe like the 6th or 7th one over, you know, towards the end where he's not starting. So he goes up to the first guy, he leans over into his ear right here and says something and snaps his fingers, and the guy just fell forward, just went limp. So I'm laughing because now every person he goes to, he says this, whatever he's saying, snaps his, every one of them's doing it. They fall forward. He gets to my buddy, and I'm thinking, dude, this is going to be funny because he's not going to play along with this shit. You know, he's not going to play along with this at all. And the guy leans down to him and says something to him. My buddy just drops. He just falls out. And then he's making other people get up and do funny stuff. My buddy's also a big guy. Okay, he's probably 6 foot tall, and he's a big guy, and not fit, but he's fat. He's a little chunky, and he's got him dressed up in beads, a bead top, and a bead skirt. And this guy is singing Tina Turner to the T. Big wheels keep on rolling, and he's shaking, and the beads are shaking. Big wheels keep on turning, and he thinks he's Tina Turner. He really thinks he's Tina Turner, and he's dancing. He's dancing and singing on stage, and then he puts him back in the chair, and everything's fine. Snaps his fingers, but when the show's over and he's not hypnotized no more, they had to help him back to his seat because his knees were jacked up. It hurt him real bad, but he didn't feel it when he was hypnotized. And yeah, it hurt him really bad, and they had to help him back to his seat and stuff because he just had knee surgery. And no
Wow.
one knew. No one said anything. They had no idea what was going to happen. And then when you're seeing him do it, you're thinking he's fine. But actually, it was just because he was hypnotized. He didn't feel no pain. He was Tina Turner. Tina Turner has good knees.
Tina Turner has good knees.
Yeah. He was really like when you were asking him questions, like when he's not singing, the guy's asking him, he's answering like he's Tina Turner, and he doesn't know anything about Tina Turner.
Oh my God.
That's fascinating and hilarious story. I love it.
That's crazy.
Awesome.
I don't know what happened, Chad. I think I might be getting kicked off.
Just slowly. It's just slowly fading off.
My internet dropped and it muted me.
You're moving to the astral plane, man.
Yeah, he's moving through.
Let's go back to my lab.
We're talking too much about my labs. They're freaking out and muting everybody now.
Get him, take him out right now. Oh man, this has been a great podcast, really.
It has.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Sev, so much for coming on here. This has been so awesome.
No problem, Josh.
So, Chad, since this is like a little collaboration, we're gonna post this on your channel and my channel simultaneously, right?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. I mean, this has been awesome. Yeah, it's been 2 hours, so you guys want to get ready to close things out? I know we got Preston Bennett coming on here soon, and Sonny, I need to talk to you after we get off. That's okay.
No problem. So yeah, cool. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Sev.
Thank you. I loved
All
it.
right. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Bye.
All right. We will see you guys next time. Peace.
All right. Take care, everyone.